how to get stuff done when you don't feel like it. Life is often a balancing act between what we want in the moment and what we know we should be doing to create a better future for ourselves. Whether it's studying for exams, completing that big work project, sticking to an exercise routine, or just cleaning up around the house, there are days, sometimes weeks or even months, when our energy or motivation is at rock bottom. We stare at the to-do list, but it feels like every cell in our body is resisting. You might ask, why can't I just power through it? Or you find yourself thinking, I know what needs to be done, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Feeling stuck is frustrating. When that sense of inertia drags on, it can lead to guilt, self-criticism, or even hopelessness about our own capabilities. And that only makes the problem worse. Yet, when you observe individuals who consistently get things done, especially during challenging times, a crucial difference emerges. They know how to reframe their mindset. More specifically, they know how to change the stories they tell themselves about why their efforts matter. If you can realign the internal narrative you hold about what you're doing and why, you effectively reignite your motivation, even when you don't feel like it. In this article, we'll explore practical, psychologically grounded strategies to help you accomplish tasks on days when your drive is low. We'll also dig into the concept of stories as a powerful lens through which you can rediscover your purpose and fuel your actions. By the end, you'll have a clearer sense of how to get stuff done, even when external circumstances or your own emotions try to hold you back. 1. The real reason you can't get things done. When you're feeling unmotivated, it's easy to blame laziness, lack of willpower, or laziness again. But these explanations usually fall short. You might feel guilty thinking, I just need more discipline, or I guess I'm not cut out for this. However, the culprit often isn't your innate ability, or even your discipline level. Instead, it's the loss of a compelling reason to move forward. In simpler terms, humans need to believe in a point behind their actions. If we lose sight of the value, benefit, or outcome of a task, our brain starts to say, why bother? That why bother question then morphs into procrastination, avoidance, or that sense of, I can't be bothered. Modern life only complicates this further. We often juggle multiple roles, student, employee, parent, entrepreneur, partner, friend, while navigating a world that can feel uncertain and chaotic. The future is rarely clear, and if your old assumptions about how things should work have been shaken, motivation can take a nosedive. Key takeaway. It's not that you're inherently unable or lazy, it's that your internal narrative, the story you tell yourself about why the task matters, is no longer compelling or believable. 2. From mindset to stories. Why the shift matters most. Productivity gurus talk about the importance of mindset. They emphasize cultivating a growth mindset, or an abundance mindset, or a can-do mindset. While that's useful, it sometimes stays vague. A more tangible approach is to think in terms of stories. Why stories? Because our minds naturally organize information around narratives. Consider the most common storyline people hold. Study hard, graduate, get a decent job, earn money, and I'll be happy. That's a story, one that used to feel universally accepted. But if something happens to undermine that story, like a global crisis, a recession, or a personal setback, your belief in the plotline can waver. When you believe in the story, you're motivated to do the tasks that align with it. When you cease to believe, or the storyline no longer makes sense, you lose your motivation. Suddenly, that final exam or that daily workout plan seems pointless. Why am I even doing this, you might think? Key takeaway. Switching from the concept of mindset to stories helps you pinpoint the narratives running in your head. You can then revise, update, or replace them with ones that spark renewed motivation. 3. Identifying your old and possibly outdated stories. Let's say you once held a story along the lines of, if I just stick to my job for a few years, I'll climb the ladder, buy a house, and then my life will be set. Now, if that job becomes unstable, or the housing market skyrockets beyond reach, that entire story might crumble. Your motivation to work hard may suffer because the future vision has become murky. When an old story collapses, you feel lost or uncertain. What do I do now? You might experience anxiety. Everything is so unpredictable. You might question the value of daily tasks. Is this even worth it anymore? Step 1 to getting things done when you don't feel like it is to recognize whether you're clinging to an old story that no longer matches reality. Your mind might be saying, I should be productive because it's always worked this way. But your emotional side is unconvinced. Questions to ask yourself. What was my old story about success, happiness, or the future? Has anything changed in my life or the world to make me doubt that story? Do I still believe it? It's important to spend some time journaling or reflecting on these. You might discover that your why has been disrupted, and that's the root cause of your lack of motivation. No. 4. Crafting a new, believable, and hopeful story. Once you've recognized that your old narrative no longer serves you, it's time to write a new one. This isn't about self-deception or forced optimism. It's about shaping a viewpoint that aligns with the facts, believability, presents a future that's better, hope. The story you adopt must meet these two conditions. If it's not believable, your subconscious will reject it. If there's no hope, your brain will fail to see why you should work for it. Example, a global crisis might have upended your industry, reducing your job security. An old story like, I'll just grind at my current workplace and retire comfortably, might not resonate anymore. A new story could be, the economy may be rough in the coming years, but I'll use this time to upskill, e.g., learning coding, digital marketing, project management. I believe these skills will help me pivot or even start my own business. If I focus on building resilience and adaptability, I can carve a stable future for myself. This new story is believable because it aligns with reality. You acknowledge the economic downturn and the need for broader skill sets. Hopeful because you see a potential path to success, acquiring new skills, possibly launching a new venture. Practical tip. You don't have to come up with a grand multi-decade master plan. Even a story that covers the next 12 to 24 months can be enough to reignite your drive. 5. Using your story for daily motivation. The best crafted story is worthless if you don't remind yourself of it daily. Here's how you can keep it front and center. Write it down. Type it into your phone's notes or keep a small card in your wallet. Summarize it into bullet points. Create visuals. If you're a visual thinker, make a quick vision board or a digital collage that represents this new story. Images of skills you want to learn, roles you want to assume, or the lifestyle you're aiming for. Repeat it to yourself. Each morning, or before a major task, take a moment to revisit your story. I'm doing X because it leads to Y, which I believe is possible. This matters because by consistently reaffirming the story, you train your subconscious to believe it's the truth. Before you know it, your mind will automatically remind you of that bigger picture whenever you hesitate or feel sluggish about doing your tasks. Number 6. The power of micro-actions and streaks. Even with a strong story, sometimes you wake up and still feel meh. That's normal. Human moods fluctuate. One effective technique to break through the inertia is to rely on micro-actions. Micro-actions. Tiny tasks so small they almost feel silly. For instance, if you need to write an essay, your micro-action might be open the document and write one sentence. If you need to work out, the micro-action is put on gym shoes. Why it works. Once you start, you often continue. It's activation energy. The hardest part is the first step. You can track these micro-actions using a habit tracker or a simple checklist. The psychological boost from ticking off even a minor task can create momentum. Over time, these small wins accumulate, reminding you that you are in fact capable of moving forward, even on days when your enthusiasm is shaky. 7. Linking tasks to your bigger picture. With your new story in place, it's crucial to tie your daily tasks directly to that narrative. Don't just let the story float in the back of your mind. Make explicit connections. Task. Spend 30 minutes practicing a coding language. Link. By learning coding, I can shift into a more secure career path, in line with my belief that the digital economy is growing. This skill is part of my plan to pivot if I lose my current job. Task. Clean your living space. Link. Maintaining a tidy environment boosts my mental clarity, making me more efficient as I work to secure my future. Task. Exercise for 45 minutes. Link. Staying healthy keeps my energy levels high and my stress low, which is essential for navigating uncertain times. Even mundane tasks gain significance when you mentally connect them to the overarching story. This relabeling transforms chores or study sessions into meaningful stepping stones toward your improved future. 8. Dealing with external uncertainty and internal doubt. Of course, no story is bulletproof, especially if the world around you keeps shifting. You may also face days when the inner critic questions your new narrative. Are you sure this is going to work? You might fail. Accept the unknown. Embrace the fact that nothing is guaranteed. Even your best strategy can encounter unforeseen obstacles. However, the act of working toward a hopeful narrative is still better than passively letting circumstances dictate your life. Update your story as needed. Stay flexible. If new information emerges, like a surprising opportunity or a drastic shift in the market, modify your story accordingly. Think of it like version updates, v1.0, v1.1, v1.2, etc. Cultivate self-compassion. Recognize that doubt and fear are normal, especially in times of change. Instead of criticizing yourself for feeling anxious, reassure yourself, I'm doing my best. Doubt means I'm taking on something important. 9. Building productive routines that support your story. Morning routine. Many high achievers swear by a structured morning routine, which might include gratitude. Practice. Jot down a few things you're grateful for. Affirmations or story rereading. Recite or read your new narrative. Planning. Identify the top 1 to 3 tasks that align with your bigger vision. Work-study blocks. Time blocking. Assign specific hours to critical tasks. This eliminates the decision fatigue of what should I do next. Avoid multitasking. Focus on one task per block. Give yourself short breaks in between to rejuvenate. Evening review. Reflect on wins. Identify what went well and how it connected to your story. Plan for tomorrow. Set tasks that will continue your progress. Wind down. Engage in calming activities, reading, stretching, journaling, to recharge your mental and emotional batteries. A consistent routine acts as scaffolding around your story. Even if your motivation wavers, the structure supports you. 10. The value of a support system. When you're trying to maintain a newly minted story, having supportive people around you can be invaluable. Share your goals and story with friends, family, or mentors who will cheer you on or even hold you accountable. Accountability partners. Find a friend who also wants to stay productive. Schedule check-ins, discuss daily or weekly progress, celebrate victories, troubleshoot setbacks together. Online communities. If you can't find like-minded people nearby, join online groups or forums focused on your area of interest or self-improvement. Engaging with others who share a similar narrative can reinforce your own belief. A supportive network can help keep your story alive when you start to doubt its plausibility. Seeing others succeed with a similar mindset boosts your own conviction. 11. Using setbacks as narrative fuel. No story worth telling is free of obstacles. Sometimes you'll experience setbacks, a test you fail, a job you don't get, or a business idea that flops. In the moment, these failures can feel like they tear your story apart. But you can also choose to reframe. Catalyst for growth. Ask, what can I learn from this? Real-world experiences, especially failures, provide valuable insights that refine your approach. Refining the story. A setback may indicate you need to adjust your path. It's not a signal to abandon the entire story, but to refine it. Emotional resilience. Overcoming adversity is part of the hero's journey in any good narrative. Instead of giving in to despair, imagine how overcoming this challenge strengthens your character. Remember, your story evolves with each challenge. Persistence in adversity often separates those who achieve their goals from those who give up too soon. 12. Practical tools and resources. There are countless apps, planners, and digital tools that can reinforce your new story. Goal tracking apps. Tools like Habitica, Todoist, or TickTick gamify your tasks and track streaks. Journaling apps. Day One, Journey, or a simple pen and paper notebook helps you document daily progress and reaffirm your vision. Skill-building platforms. If part of your story involves learning new skills, platforms like Skillshare, Coursera, or Udemy can be integrated into your routine. Leverage these resources to keep your momentum going. The key is to integrate them into your daily life, aligning each tool's function with your overarching narrative of growth or future success. 13. Real-world examples and inspiration. The career pivoter, someone working in hospitality or retail, might lose their job or see reduced hours. Instead of succumbing to despair, they craft a story about transitioning to digital marketing or coding, steadily taking online courses, building a portfolio, and eventually landing remote work. The health rebuilder, a person who let their fitness routine slide, might decide they need more energy to handle post-crisis demands. Their new story focuses on how staying fit protects their mental health and capacity to support loved ones. The student in limbo. College students facing uncertain job markets might adopt a story about building entrepreneurial or freelance skills. They see themselves as forging a new path in the gig economy while finishing their degree. In each case, these individuals found a new arc, one that remains grounded in reality yet offers hope. Their daily tasks align with the story, making each step feel meaningful rather than futile. 14. Learning to say no to conflicting narratives. Even after creating a motivating new narrative, distractions and conflicting messages can erode your focus. Social media traps. Endless scrolling through negative news or other people's highlight reels might trigger doubt. Peer pressure. Friends or family might question your new direction. They might say, "Why bother studying that? We're in a recession," or "That business idea won't work now." Resist letting these conflicting narratives derail you. You can listen to feedback, but remain anchored in your own carefully crafted belief system. If you're bombarded by negativity or cynicism, set boundaries. Limit time spent with sources that undermine your motivation. 15. Final thoughts and ongoing practice. The process of getting stuff done when you don't feel like it is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing practice of narrative building, self-reflection, and adaptation. Some days will be easier than others. Sometimes your story might need minor revisions. Other times, you'll need a complete overhaul. Yet each adjustment is an opportunity to refine what you believe about yourself and your future. The more you practice, the more adept you become at constructing stories that drive you forward, no matter the obstacles. Key reminders: self-compassion. You're human, so expect off days. Consistency over intensity. Small daily steps, aligned with your story, accumulate into significant change. Stay open-minded. As new opportunities or challenges appear, adjust your narrative to stay current and compelling. Conclusion. Feeling unmotivated doesn't necessarily mean you're lazy or unworthy of success. Often, it signals that the narrative you once relied on for motivation has been shaken or replaced by uncertainty. The solution is to create a new, believable, and hopeful story, one that aligns with the current realities of your life while pointing toward a better future. When you have that story in place, tasks that once felt pointless become purposeful. You're not just studying for the sake of studying or working out for vanity's sake. You're pushing forward because your actions are steps in a narrative you trust and believe in. And that, in turn, unlocks a wellspring of motivation that can carry you through even the toughest days. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, "I just can't get started," remember, it's not about forcing yourself through sheer willpower. It's about returning to the reason why you do it in the first place. Ask yourself what future you are building with each action. Shape that future into a powerful story. Repeat it often. Embrace micro-actions and supportive routines that draw you closer to this story's climax, your brighter horizon. In the end, when you create a story that truly resonates, you don't just get stuff done. You transform each day into a meaningful journey toward a vision that's worth fighting for. That is the essence of disciplined motivation, and it's within everyone's reach, including yours. All it takes is a willingness to rewrite your own narrative and step fully into the role of its hero.